You had to reach to the front of the line. You had to use your mind. You had to reach to become a student before you could teach. Let's reach and open our minds to the power of spoken word. Power of spoken word with Paul. Power of spoken word with Paul. Power of spoken word with Paul.
Hey, free thinkers. Um, Today I'm in my vacation, one of my vacation homes. Came to take care of some business down here. Had to re-register the cars. When we got down here and it started pouring. What we're hearing is because of the hurricane that's pending going into Florida. So, and I was gonna go outside and show you guys some videos of the property. But we came to down here before the rain, so we're basically in the house now, and it's pouring outside. Got up early this morning, thank God, and went to go register the cars. That's one of the responsibilities down here. When you have multiple properties, is to maintain these registrations, because you know different states have different requirements. So we're down here, we just registered the cars that came back in. Thought I had a chance to go outside and enjoy this beautiful weather, but it's raining. But you know, it's what it is. What it is. So I'm inside, and I says, you know what? Let me just come inside and talk to you guys. Um, I went on a podcast a couple weeks ago, matter of fact, last week, and interviewed my sister, who's a pastor, and I'm supposed to be getting interviewed next week on the podcast. But I figured since I'm here and it's raining, let me just talk to you guys a little bit about myself, because I know people sometimes feel, why is this guy talking now? What's this guy's background, and why does he think he has the right to come and talk to us about anything? Who is this guy? So I am a father, a husband, and I have been through it for a while. I'm going on 40 years now of marriage, which was not easy. And we had to figure this out because nobody has the playbook on marriage. And we all think that marriage is easy, and unfortunately marriage is not. You have to work at it. So for me, I'm going to share you guys on this platform my experience with marriage, and why do I think it's very important to be married, and why do I think it has to be worked on. So a little bit about myself. My wife and I got married, me 22 and she was 19 years old when we got married. And first of all, we were way too young to get married. Way too young to get married. Especially when you don't have a goal, right? Or guidance. And not saying we didn't have guidance, because we had people in our lives that were telling us that this is not the right thing to do at this point. Not that they were saying that we were bad people, but they just felt that at this point in our lives, me being 22 and her being 19, wasn't a good idea. But as young kids, you don't take nobody's word. You do what you want to do because it's your life. People have asked me, do you blame your wife for anything that happened in your life, or in your marriage? Back then, yes, I found blamed, and I took no responsibility, because I felt that, she had a responsibility to me and she didn't fulfill her part. But again, remember what I said, that she was 19 years old, and I'm asking a 19-year-old to take on the responsibility as a wife, which was unfair to her at that age. She had recently came out of a marriage at 19, believe it or not. with a 2-year-old and a 4-month-old. And for me, my mother died the earlier in that year, and I'm a mama's boy. I've always been a mama's boy. Anything I needed, either my mother or my sister took care of it. I just never actually had to do anything because I always had women around me that look out for me and take care of me. So I basically thought that by me getting married, I would have somebody pick up that part of it. And it's unfair to her because, again, she had 2 small mouths to feed. And here comes another supposedly grown man. Now she's taking care of another baby. So there's 3 babies in the house that she's taking care of. And that's a lot to put on somebody that age. So for me, back then, yes, I put a lot of blame on her. But you can't blame somebody for something that you yourself didn't even have direction to show them or lead them in that fashion. So, hindsight, I should have never gotten married, and to blame her for anything that happened would be wouldn't be fair to her. Would not be fair to her. She has a life that she grew up where she had to, fend for herself and her children because her ex-husband didn't want to take responsibility of his kids and the job. So I figured that I step in and do it. But she used to always say that I'm a great father, I'm an excellent father, but a horrible husband. And I took it back then as a dig on me, but not understanding what she was saying. And yes, I was an excellent father because I always had the boys with me. But as far as my part of being a husband, a provider, and a protector, that part was lacking. Okay? And I know there's going to be men out there saying, or people out there saying that, well, at least you took care of your children. But when you get married, you just can't take your children to take care of the house band. As they would say, the house band. So the husband is the house band. He bands the house together. While I made sure that my sons were very active in sports and they were in school and doing what they're supposed to be doing, I didn't pay attention to her. Okay? And man, that's the thing I'm going to teach you guys, that you have to pay attention to your wife. Okay? Because you'll be surprised who's paying attention to your wife. Even right now, even people that are around you are pay attention to your significant others, and that goes both ways. When ladies, you don't pay attention to your husband, there's somebody that's there paying attention to them, and if you don't take that seriously, it will happen. Now, we got married, and in my opinion, and she says it's too, that we figure we're gonna just see what happened in marriage. And you can't see what happened in marriage. Marriage is something that you have to plan out, have a vision, and have a goal. Okay? You also have to have discipline in a marriage. And a lot of people don't have that discipline in marriage because they don't understand that, you can't still be doing the things that you were doing before you get married, right? People still want to hang out with their boys. They want to still hang out with their girlfriends. And, the issue that we were having was that my friends still wanted to hang out and her friends wanted to still hang out. And we wanted to hang out with them, not understanding that we came before God, not them. So we came before God and pledged to God our desire and what we wanted in a marriage, but we didn't fulfill it because we were more interested in what our friends felt about this marriage. And all of our friends just kept saying, you shouldn't have got married because because you weren't ready. It's not that we weren't ready. And I'm not going to say we didn't have a marriage community around us. We did have a marriage community around us. We just wasn't listening. Most kids don't listen to anybody around them because we think we know everything. That's just who we are. We think we know everything. And I started my job, and it's funny because when I started working, I had a Jewish OG, I had an Irish OG, a Muslim OG, an Italian OG, and a Russian OG. It's funny how when you at work you see different ethnicity come together, but outside of that they're warring. But in that setting, I remember coming in one morning after hanging out on a Friday, and I came in there Monday morning, and I was tired. And the OGs, I like to call them the collective, they're all sitting there and everybody's talking about what their weekends were. And to hear everybody talk about their weekends, it was more about them being with their family. For me, I was telling them, me and my boys hanged out and we did this and we did that. And I said, what did your wife do? And I said, well, they had hung out with their girlfriends. And they said to me, that's not what marriage is. That is not what marriage is. How are you guys still hanging out, with your friends and stuff? What are you guys doing? I remember one of them told me, he said, your marriage is not gonna last, young pop. It's not gonna last. And I didn't say it out loud to them, but I was like, they're just jealous. It's funny how we use that word jealous, right? They're just jealous. But when you're young, you say words and say things that you don't even understand what you're saying. Because I was telling them that they were jealous, and they had nothing to be jealous of me for, right? They were married 30, 40 years. They have established themselves within their communities. They have properties. They had grandchildren, great grandchildren. These men were just there trying to, not trying to, but buying their time to retire and go live their lives. But for me, when you're young, you say words like I said. They're just jealous of me, but they had nothing to be jealous of. So I remember them saying to me, your marriage is not even going to last 5 years. The way you're going, it's just not going to last 5 years because you're not doing the things you're supposed to be doing as a husband and as a man. And you have to understand, when OG said to you as a husband and a man, the first thing come to your mind is, well, I'm a man and I'm a husband. But there's duties as a man and a husband that you have to take seriously and understand. If you don't have that structure around you, you will miss those, you'll miss it, completely miss it without even paying attention to it. You'll miss it. And a lot of times, these OGs will tell me that, young pop, you're not listening, young pop. Till after a while, I guess they were like, you know what? Let him go through it and let's see what happened. And true to time, within 5 years, my marriage went downhill. I'm gonna read some statistics about the first 5 years of a marriage and what happens in the first 5 and what's happened in the first 10 years of a marriage. But within the first 5 years, my marriage went downhill, and we argued about everything. But let's a little backstory. That also had my wife was also pregnant, and my third son was born, and to us, that child was supposed to bring us together. But understand that children don't bring you together if you're not ready for that type of a responsibility, right? So you have to make sure you're ready. So within, I want to say, 8 months, my son passed away, and I blamed her for everything possible. I just blamed her. And when you, at my age, without my mom, and my sister moved on to get married, you don't have that collective around you. You find people to blame for things that this wasn't anybody's fault. It's not like she could blow breath and life into him. It's not like some of the things that the doctor said, why my son died, she had anything to do with it. It is just, God needed him for another war, and God took him. So for the next 7 years, I went into a downward spiral. And because I went into the downward spiral, I turned to the person right next to me and let her have it. Okay, because to me, she was the reason why this happened. And unfortunately, she was not the reason why this happened. It just happened. Okay. I remember going to the hospital this particular morning, because I had the day shift and she had the night shift. And in between there, we would go home and make sure the boys were taken care of. But we were at the hospital every day, after work, before work. And I was walking in the hospital and I was looking up at the TV, and they said this woman threw her 4-month-old baby from the window and the baby lived. Baby lived. And I remember saying to myself, how can this child live and God is taking mine? This makes no sense how I'm losing mine and somebody tossed theirs out the window. It's not, I mean, my son was planned. My wife used to call me certain part of the day and tell me, you need to get home. You need to get home, and because we're gonna have this baby. We're gonna make this baby. So it's not like we just came home and look at each other and tore each other clothes and oh, get up the next month and say we're pregnant. We planned this child. We planned this child. This was not going to be anybody say, oh, I'm pregnant. This was we're going to have a baby. So I just couldn't understand how God would just take something this precious that we planned, and it hurt me so much that I just could not. I abandoned the church. I abandoned God. I abandoned all beliefs, because this cannot be happening to me when I felt that I never did anything wrong to anyone to have this issue. So fast forward, again, after 5 years, my wife and I separated, divorced, and I let her know that I wanted the boys with me. And for a while, we went back and forth arguing about the better parent. And then she came to me one day and said to me that because they're boys, she agreed with me they should be with their father. Now I understand that these were not my biological sons, but I raised them from 2-year-old to 4 months old. So the only person they know is me. Okay. And when I told them that they were going to live with me, they were elated. They wanted to live with their dad. So I moved to the Bronx, and she lived in Brooklyn. And just to show you how we stay connected, she would come up every Friday and wash all of our clothes. Sunday, she would make us dinner for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and put it in little containers. Mind you, all this time, all we said to each other is hi and bye, but we really didn't communicate with each other. So she was dating someone and I was dating someone, and I'll never forget, and believe it or not, all this time that I was dating this lady, she had 2 children of her own. I was dating this lady with 2 children of her own, and it was just, I knew that this wasn't going to work because of the way how I see her interact with her children. My sons, when I got home from work, I took them to baseball practice, took them to basketball practice. They were playing, oldest was playing piano, and my youngest was playing the guitar. And I always had something for them to do, because to me, my grandmother used to say, idle mind is the devil's work. So I always made sure that they had something to do so that they wouldn't be distracted or be, pulled away to do things that they're not supposed to be doing. So I took my boys to this Playland, right Playland, upstate New York. And the young lady that I was dating had a son and a daughter. And my sons were disciplined. They know how I am. If they fell down, I didn't pick them up. I tell them, get up, dust off, and keep moving, because this world have nothing for you. Okay, you're a young man. Nobody's going to help you up. You have to help yourself up. So I taught them that. Okay, so we went away to ride Playland. My son's mom, this young lady, and her daughter and son, and the way how she treated her daughter, it's just the vulgarity of how she speak to her daughter, but in the same turn, how she treated her son. He fell, she picked him up, he cried, she patted his back until he's going to be better. So my oldest son is very athletic, but both my sons are very athletic. So the gentleman behind the counter said, get my son the basketball, and he shot 10 shots straight, 10 shots. So the guy said, behind the counter says, you think you're Michael Jordan? You think you're Michael Jordan? Let's see you do another 10. I give you this big beer if you do this, knock down this other 10. My son knocked down the other 10. The guy gave him the big beer, and he says, I give you another one if you knock down there's another 5. My son knocked down the other 5. So the young lady that I was with said to me to let her son try. He didn't hit none of the hoops. They were even close to hit the hoops. He didn't even have basketball form to be shooting. So he started crying. So the guy behind the counter says, "Why are you crying? You know, you're supposed to learn how to play basketball. Who don't know how to play basketball? Who don't know how to shoot?" And this boy started crying. So his mother is telling me that how I should talk to the guy behind the counter. You know, you shouldn't talk to him like that. So the guy started apologizing and said, no, he had to apologize. And he was just trying to pump up his spirit. He didn't mean anything by it. So I pulled her aside and said to her, you know, this is not how you prepare a young man for society, right? You're sitting here telling him it's going to be better. No, it's not going to be better. On the weekends, I take my sons to the basketball court or to the baseball field or the batting cage. And that's why they know how to shoot. So I will take them to show them how to play basketball. And she went into me about I'm not his father, and you know a real man would have talked to that guy and told him what to do. So I said, so you determine what a real man is, right? You determine what a real man is, and you think that I should fight him. And hypothetically, the cops are called, I lose my job. How do I take care of my family? Because your son was not taught how to play basketball. How does that make sense? Okay. I took him to the batting cage. We went to the batting cage, and the ball is coming towards him, and he dropped the bat and ran out of the batting cage. And I'm telling her that, you know, you see how my sons are, you know, he has to learn. And she told me, you know, stop talking to her son like that. Stop talking. And she's telling him it's going to be better. But the daughter, how she laid into the daughter. So I didn't go off track. There's a point to this. So my oldest son had a birthday party that his mother and I had for him. And my wife's boyfriend and my girlfriend came. And we were just enjoying my oldest son's birthday. We were interacting. Now, this is the first time that we actually sat down and actually had a conversation, because usually she just come over, wash their clothes and my clothes, and make dinner for us and leave. I mean, no words exchange or anything. She talked to the boys, but not with me. So we were just enjoying my oldest son's birthday, and we sat down. We just started laughing, and we looked at each other, and I knew that look. And the end of my son's birthday party, the boys and I left, and I called my wife, and she says, we need to have a conversation. And we had a conversation. We started talking about 9 o'clock that night till about 3 in the morning. And at the end of the conversation, we knew that the 2 people that we were dating had to go. And I let the lady that I was with know that this shit wasn't going to work out, and I think it'd be better off if we go separate ways, because I wasn't interested in raising another 2 children that I'm having a conflict with the parent. And I wasn't having a conflict with my wife, with my boys. So we went they went their separate ways, and then we got back together, and the first thing we did was go to counseling. And I tell people, go to counseling, because you will think and point finger at the other person and thinking they did everything bad, and not understanding your part in it. Okay. And after sitting down with the right counselor, because we had to go through a couple of different counselors before we found the right counselor, and he sat us down, let us know that, listen, marriage is hard work, and he, we gave him some background of how long we've been, what age we got married, and he told us, first of all, that you guys were too young when you did it, and he said, I'm not saying that it doesn't work out, but you guys already had obstacles in your way when you got married. I told him about when my mother died, and she told him about her divorce, and he said, you guys were just leaning on each other for the wrong reasons, and sometimes the reason that you're relying on each other never work out, because then either you outgrow the person, or the other person don't understand your plight or the reasoning for it. So we had to learn that part, and he explained to us that we were gasoline and match. I'm the match, she's the gasoline, and as long as I strike the match, it's going to always blow up. So we had to find a medium. So the first 4 months, he deal with her first. Then I came in at the end, and then we came together as a couple, and we worked this out, where he explained to us that, the thing that you guys are arguing about, a lot of marriages end because of that reason. Financial reasoning, infidelity, inequity, people are not equal in the marriage. And when I say equal, somebody is taking on more responsibility than the other one. And I have to blame myself, because my wife took on a lot more responsibility than I did, including the children. So I'm asking somebody to come home that does the same job as me to do more when they get home than me. And that wasn't fair to her. So like I said, I never blamed her. I did blame her then. But when you mature and get to a certain age, and you have somebody sit you down and talk to you about how you be going to marriage relying on things that you see that technically wasn't there, but you wanted to be there, but the other person didn't sign up for, because you never had a discussion on that. I never had a discussion with my wife about the responsibility that I was talking about, because I just figured that, hey, my mother died and my sister married, so she was going to take on the responsibility, but I never asked her. Never did. And that was very unfair to her. So fast forward, we sat down, we remarried, we recommitted to each other, and we understand that God put us together. And I tell you why I said that, because it's not that I felt she was the right person. I knew she was the right person, but I was not in the right frame of mind as a man to lead, okay? Because she said that to me. You asking me to follow you when you were never leading. Okay, she said I had to take up all the responsibilities of everything. You relied on me to do so much, so then I think, I decided to lead, which that wasn't for me to lead, it was for you to lead. You are my husband. And she's very religious, and she let me know that. So little step back, while we were separated, I started listening to the OGs, and they're telling me, yeah, you can't, it's not something you can fix, a young man. They used to call me young pup. There's nothing you could fix, young pup. But now that you separated, you need to work on yourself. She'll see it, that you worked on yourself. So I started hanging around them and talking to them, seeking their guidance. And the things that they tell me, you're not supposed to be doing, she's not supposed to be doing those things. This is your wife, this is the covenant. And this, at first I was sitting there going, these guys don't know what they're talking about. Excuse me. But they had to know what they were talking about, because these guys were married for a very long time. I mean, a very long time they were married for. So of course they know what they were talking about. I just didn't get what they were talking about, because I was not there mentally to understand what they were talking about. So I worked on myself, I understood now what my role was as a man. I understand what my role is as a father, which I always understood my role as a father. But the role as a husband, I never got and understood. Because to me, I didn't understand that the word husband means house band. You band the house together. So there were things that my wife would come to me and talk to me about that back then I didn't get it, because I wasn't listening. Now when she comes to me and brings things to my attention, she's seeking my advice and my wisdom to take care of it. Because once she tells it to me, she's relying on me to take care of it. Back then when she told it to me, I'm like, well, she got it, you know, she must have, you know, she just let me know. But I don't understand that when she's telling this to me, it's for me to take care of these things. She would have so much on her plate that she wouldn't tell me, she would just do it. And when she got frustrated is when she exploded. So we both had to take responsibilities for our part in our separation and our divorce. So when we got back together and we were at a family's house 2005 Thanksgiving, and we were just searching for a place to sit to eat, and there was just so many people there, and we got frustrated because, you know, there were so many people and kids there that you just couldn't enjoy the meal, couldn't watch the game, you know, there's so many people on top of each other. So I went to her and I said to her, this would be the last time that we'll be eating from anybody's Thanksgiving. The next one's going to be at our home. And she looked at me, and 2005, 2006, we're moving into our home. We're moving into our home. We bought our home, and it wasn't a struggle. People was telling us, you know, it was going to be a struggle. It wasn't a struggle. The mortgage company set up everything to where you have 3 months to get your finance in order. But we had the finance in order. Let me explain to you that when we said that our friends didn't want us together because you're not thinking about hanging out on a Friday, Saturday, how much money you were spending. Sometimes I was spending upwards of $300-400 for that Friday and Saturday, $500-600. Same with her. So think about it. That's $500 off my end for 2 nights and $500 off her end for 2 nights. That's $1,000. That's a part of our mortgage. Okay? And then think about, you have to get your outfit together. You have to get parking, gas for your car. You know, there were just things that we were doing that we found out later on that this stuff goes a long way in our marriage. Okay, so once we stopped hanging out, and by the 3-month window came, we had the mortgage for 2 months, for the 3 months, and the next thing we know, we had enough money in there for the next 2 months. So then we sat down with a financial advisor, and we were working out some things, and they tell us that there's $800 unaccounted for in our checks. And we couldn't figure out where was the $800. And it's just little things that they started talking to us about, not to do this, not to do that, not to do this, not to do that. You know, I would buy 2 cases of Red Stripe, which was about $40. And if you think about it, by the end of the month, that's like $300-400 if you think about it. And I stopped drinking, and then watched the money built up into the account. And when we went back to the financial advisor, we was thinking that there's a bill that wasn't paid, that's why that money was in account. Never thinking that those little things add up. So month 5 came, and we noticed that there's an increase in money in the bank account that was unaccounted for, and then we figured out where the money came from. Mind you, by then now, our friends are telling us that, you know, we stopped hanging out, we're not communicating, but they didn't care about us communicating because it was about them. So we had to make the change and the choice in our life to say it is more important for us to communicate than communicate with them, because they have nothing to lose while we had a lot to lose. We had just bought our first home. We were responsible for mortgage, house insurance, maintenance on the property, car note, car insurance, medical bills for the boys, our own medical bills, and going to work. So we had to make the choice of who was more important. Who was more important? These friends or our lives? And we made the choice that our friends were not more important than us. And what we found out was that you start seeing people um, drop off your so-called line of friends, and they'll tell you why. After a while, they'll tell you think you're better than them. Well, you're not being better than them. It's just that you have other priorities, and people who don't have a goal or priorities is going to always say that to you because they don't see the vision that you see, and that's why you're going to learn that a lot of times you can't bring everybody on your journey, or you can't tell people your idea because it's not their idea, so they don't see it working for them. They're not going to see it working for you. So we bought our first home, like I said, and things started changing in our lives, but not changing for the bad, but changing for the good. We got back and we started, I still wasn't into church. And then one day I sat down with my wife and I was telling her, how I feel that God deserted me when he took my son, and the pressure it put on me as a father when I could have had 3 sons and I only had 2. And she just put her hand around me and she says, "For God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son, so whoever believeth in him would have everlasting life and salvation." She says, so he gave his only son to the world, and you are mad at him when you got 2 here. We don't know why he took our 3rd, because God always wants the purest to fight his battles. So who was I to judge God or deny him one of his children that he needs in battle? It hit me. It hit me. And that Sunday I went to church and reclaimed my commitment to God, and reclaim my commitment to my family, and reclaim who I am in that order. Once I got back into the structure of God, then I understand my role as a husband and a father and a provider and a protector. I understand those roles now. I understand that I'm not a follower. I'm supposed to be a leader of men. And you have men around you sometimes that even need that leadership. It's not only women, men around you that also need that leadership and that guidance to know that this what you're doing is not what you're supposed to be doing. God has a different battle that you have to, but you have to be willing and ready to fight that war. And I learned that and started going back to church, got God back in my life, and just started watching things just open up for me and flourish for me. And in his name, I just praised every morning for waking me up and at night putting me to sleep. I thank him for, the woman that lays next to me, that honors me and loves me and dote over me. I thank him for the 2 boys that he has given me to raise, even though they're not mine biologically. But he says, this is where I want you to be, and these are the children I want you to raise. And that's when I understand my role as a father and a husband and a provider and a protector and a husband. That's when I understand my role. And up until this day, I still live by those rules and those guidance. Okay, so we are now going almost down on our 40th year of marriage, and we now both understand our role in this marriage and our life and know who we are. We are now in our 2nd home, getting to buy our 3rd home by January, God willing, and he already graced us with the intelligence, the knowledge, and the patience of how to get this. But I want you to understand that while God has provided for you, there's another entity that's working against you that don't think you should have these things. And he will put people around you to deter you from who you're supposed to be. And you have to understand that these people, you have to push them aside for your goal and your dreams, because they'll kill your dreams just by words. You don't deserve this. Why are you doing this? You're trying to be better than everybody. But you see, what they don't understand is that when God gives you breath, you're supposed to live it until your last of who you're going to be or who you're potentially going to be. A lot of people will never live up to their potential, because they don't even know their potential. Okay? So you have to be careful now once you get to that level in your life of an understanding that everybody is not going to come along with you in your journey. They're just not, and you have to understand that. I was around people that we didn't have a home and we just had an apartment. Once we bought the home, they said that we thought that we were better than them. When we was trying to follow our path of, once we understand who we are, then we understand that we need to have property, we need to have goals and dreams and aspiration for other things. Then we bought our second home, and the people with one home wanted to know why we needed two homes, right? Now we get ready to buy our third home. People with two homes wants to know why we're buying three. And I know when we get to the fourth home, people with three homes are going to want to know why we want four. So you have to understand that there's going to always be somebody in your life or around you that's going to feel that you don't deserve these things. And if you're not careful, these people will deter you from who you are as a person, because they don't see it for you, because they don't see it for themselves. So there are people that you're going to have to separate yourself from to become who you are. And there's nothing wrong with that, because not everybody could come on your journey. Not everybody can understand your dream. It's your dream. It's up here. It's yours. Don't let nobody take that away from you. I'm going to speak on some other stuff in my next video about sustaining your marriage, 12 reasons why your marriage failed. I'm also going to speak to you guys about putting your marriage before a lot of things, because it is a beautiful thing to see that you're almost at your end and see how much positive things that you could accomplish. But you have to put work into it. My wife and I have put work into it to where we understand our role in this marriage. We were driving down yesterday from our home to the vacation home, and my wife played a Mary J. Blige record for me, You're My Everything. And she says every morning she wakes up, she has this song in her head, because I'm her everything. Now, it touched me. It really touched me, because my wife really don't show emotions because of how she grew up as a child. But for her to play this record and confide in me how much I changed her life and made her a better woman by me being a better man, and taking the lead to take off a lot of responsibilities off her, which is what all women want. They don't want to come home and be arguing with their husband or yelling at their husband. But if you're not taking off the majority of the burden off them, these are the things that happen in marriages, and that's why it fails. Because as long as she feels that, she has to do more than you, then she's going to compete with you. And you shouldn't want your wife to compete with you, because the marriage is not meant for you for you guys to be competing against each other. Your marriages, one takes on more responsibility. So I do 100 hours every week. My wife does 40 hours. So she could come home and do her part as my wife and take care of the property and take care of the homes. We have mortgages that got to be paid, and each home comes with its own responsibility. Each home have cars in front of them, in the driveways, that it needs insurance, that needs the cars are paid off, so we don't have to pay car payments. But there are things around the properties that needs to be taken care of, and my wife is responsible for all those things. She may complain about the things that's going on, but she loves when she comes to her vacation home, the smile on her face, where she could put up her chairs around her pool and relax around her pool and thank God. And we thank God, we hold hands and thank God and pray to God, of what He have allowed us to accomplish, and show people that it can be done. We also have to cut off a lot of people in order for us to have what we have, because people do not see it for you. You'll see it for yourself, but people will not see it for you. And you're going to have to understand that some of those people, and they could be family members, you're going to have to cut off to get what you want, to be where you are. Okay? So just be careful. My marriage is more successful now because the role that I took on, and understand my role, I had to learn, because there's no playbook for marriage. it was just good that I had men in my life that been there and done that. So the reason why I am creating this platform, I created this platform, it was to teach young men and young women that marriage is hard work. And I don't want you to look at these celebrities, because I hear people say sometimes, well, this person that got married and got divorced. Yeah, but you're not them. And a lot of times those people get divorced because of egos. Somebody's career is not jumping off like the other one's career. So, they're turning on each other, and they have already blended their children, and they didn't even go into for the right reason. People say, oh, well, I fell out of love. That's not what love is. Because if you understand what love is, then you'll never divorce your partner. Love comes way down into your marriage. Way down into your marriage. Mine came when I had my 2 eye surgeries. Right eye first detached, then left eye detached, then shoulder surgery. My wife became my right eye when I lost my right eye. My wife became my left eye when I lost my left eye. My wife became my left shoulder when I had no use of my left shoulder. And she told me that all the time. I'm your right eye. Just lay down and rest. I'm your left eye. Just lay down and rest. I'm your left shoulder. I need for you to get back to full strength. So please, take care of yourself. I need you here with me. My wife was always there to make sure that these things were done. My wife even told our job, could work at the same job, that she needs to be close to home because these are the things that was happening. And if they weren't willing to do it, then she was going to leave the job. The job accommodated her. The job accommodated us. That's what love is. Unconditional. When you think about your spouse, but not yourself. So this thing that people are saying, it's in your heart, it's in your heart. That's just a feeling and a want and a desire. Love is what you're willing to do for the other person. That's what love is. When you get married, it says for better, for worse, for sickness and in health. We have so many people that instead of reading from the original vows, for better, for worse, for sickness and in health, they come up till death do us part. They come up with their own vows. That means nothing. They're empty. We have people that even though they read their vows from the Bible, feel the Bible is below them because they're going to write something else. And if you think the Bible is below you, then you think God is below you, and nobody's above God. He's all seeing and all knowing. I've seen people make fun and said, oh, so there's some guy up in the sky that is telling you what to do and give you a book to read, and you guys are listening. The funny part about those same people, when they're on their deathbed, you know what they say? God forgive me for saying that. But the people that they told this to, they never told them that they're begging for forgiveness, because they know where they're going now. So while I'm here on earth, living and breathing, because God allows me every morning to get up, to go to work, to provide for my family, to protect my family, to be on this platform talking to you, God has allowed me to do this. He has told me that there are people out here that you need to help because they're lost and they don't understand what I'm talking about, what I'm preaching to them. They're lost because they're following the media, they're following other people's, and they're not understanding why they're here. They're not understanding why I put a man and a woman together. Because I didn't want the man to be alone. I needed him to have somebody in his life. Not want somebody in his life, but needed somebody in their life. Because want is a desire. Need is a necessity. My wife provides so many things for me that on a day-to-day basis, I don't pay attention to it until I get home or the end of the week comes, and then I understand what she has done. So for me getting her multiple homes, cars, or whatever she wants is my way of saying thank her for being there and doing what she can for me, because she didn't have to do none of those things for me. But she chose to do those things for me because that's what she fits. She understands that she's my wife and what she wants to do for me. We take each other for granted and understanding that God put this person in your life. I made a video earlier asking women that if you're in church and God sends you a good man to lead you, why are you turning down the man that God sent you because you're looking for something else? The person that you're looking for is the one that always betray you, like Judas. But the one that God sent to you is the one that you should listen to and obey and follow. Don't let society tell you that you shouldn't obey. Because if you're going to obey God, you have to obey who God put in charge here. I have been through hell and backward in my relationship because I didn't believe what was being put before me. Now I understand what was put before me, and I'm reaping the benefit from what was being put before me. People, it's just simple as paying attention to each other needs, not want, needs, and making sure that each other is satisfied. There's nothing hard about that. A lot of us come to a job for 40 years and the job gives you little trinkets and you go home, but there's nobody to share it with. There's nobody to share it with. But for my wife and I, our job have given us 15-year reward that we come home and then we share with each other. I took her out to dinner. 20 years, share with each other. 25 years, we share with each other. 30 years, we share with each other. But there will not be a 40-year on the job. Because we have another job that we have for ourselves, for us, and for God. That we're not going to forget that, because we understand that there's a life after retirement. And that's what we're working on now, life after retirement. I'm going to speak to you guys on other videos about I started my job at 24 years old. And the day that I started my job, I planned to retire, so I went and joined the 401k and the pensions. I'm going to talk to you guys in another video about that and how you should set yourself up for the future. Because if you don't set yourself up for the future, nobody's going to set it up for you. You have to be mindful of these things. But first thing you have to be mindful of is each other and take care of each other. Because if you don't take care of each other, nobody else will. Nobody else is going to treat you like how the person that you're investing is going to treat you. I understand how my wife's body looks because she has provided me three children from her body. So I understand her perfect imperfections. I understand that. I understand what she put her body through for me. Because it's for me she put her body through, because she didn't have to do it. But those perfect imperfections mean so much to me. And I'll never ever forget what she has done for me. So while I see pretty face, tight waist, big hips and all that stuff, that means nothing to me, because I already had somebody that has shown me what true love looks like and what they'll do for me to provide that true love. So I want you guys to understand that I'm not on this platform speaking from something that I've heard. I'm speaking from where I've been and what I have done. I'm speaking from that these are things that I have tried, watch it come to fruition, and it works. I understand that it is very hard work, a marriage, and while you have to work on it, a lot of people don't want to work on it and they give up. I'm going to talk to you guys about within the first 5 to 7 years, if you don't correct these things, your marriage is doomed to fail. But you could correct them within the 5 to 7 years. And there's 12 things that you need to correct and fix within those 5 to 7 years. In 10 years, you should figure it out. That should be figured out. Because after 10 years, most marriages last after 10 years, if it's worked on. I talk to people in other some of my videos about my 6 steps in marriage. Okay, evaluating your marriage every 6 months and the 6 steps to take in doing that. If you truly value somebody, then we will work on it. Because you see, going from relationship to relationship to relationship, you're not fixing the problem. You're exacerbating the problem. You're just carrying it on to the next person, and the next person carrying it on to you.